a Dredfunn original production. Please sit back and enjoy.
Hey guys, Dredfunn here with another one of my uploads. Again, not a time-lapse video. This is me talking about some stuff in my my vlogs. So online I get contacted by a lot of artists that are at different levels. Recently had a conversation with a professional that I admire and got some really interesting insight. That'll be a video that you can check out. So how to approach this? I'm going to loosely title this references and what are they when it comes to art. Well, a lot of folks get confused, at least what I'm finding, when it comes to references, when it comes to their own personal art, and when it comes to expressing their own talent. And I'm going to see if I can bring some clarification to some of the folks that have reached out to me online, and there's been quite a few, enough that I want to make this video. Alright, so here's how it goes. Let's say I want to do a drawing and I want to do a comic book image. Let's say I want to do, let's say Superman. I got an old comic here, and I believe it's Dan Jurgensen that's done the work in here. Yeah, we got Bob McLeod, Dan Jurgens, they're the pencilers. Let's just take the cover for instance, and if I drew that like Dan Jurgens, or let me see if it's someone else on the cover. No, it's a painted version of Dan's work. Let's say I draw that just as Dan draws that. That's fine. I mean, as long as I'm titling it Dan's work, I mean, me drawing as Dan Jurgens. You won't see me personally do that because, I mean, that's Dan's work. Just like Jim Lee, if I found some images of some superheroes online like Spider-Man or whoever, I mean something by the Ramadas or the Kuberts or whoever you want to say it is, and I draw that exactly as is, that's great, that's fine. I've done it myself many times throughout the years, and it's a great tool for learning how to draw in a comic book style. The problem is you need to represent the artists that already sort of crafted that, because you are drawing their work. Now, when it comes to using references, because a lot of young artists get confused, they're like, well, I'm just using that as a reference. No, you're drawing their style, and you're trying to say that it's yours. And that brings up a lot of people getting confused, accusing some people of tracing, and not understanding what they're saying when it comes to tracing. I mean, if you're drawing in that other artist's style, to them it can appear like you're tracing. It can appear that you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. It's okay. You just need to clarify it. Now, where some artists get confused, they hear about Alex Ross, they hear about other, so-called, I don't want to say so-called, but outside of the box comic artists that use models, and they'll use reference pictures, and they're like, well, they do that. Yes, they will. I do it all the time. If I want to show a particular image of a person jumping up in the air, and every time I free sketched it, it just doesn't look right, I will grab a couple references offline and I will use them as a guide to sort of create something on my own. It'll look similar, you'll see aspects of it, but in and itself it will not look exactly as is. Many artists, especially comic book artists, if they're really talented, will take life from what they see and they will add to it their own style. Then there's the stuff that I do, where I will take a realistic image, I will take a person, and I will try to recreate that using nothing more than pencils and paper and eraser, and make that look as real as possible, like the image that I'm using. So, for instance, like my Riverdale characters, or recently I did a 4-pack of the Wizard of Oz characters. I'm using a couple different images for each of those, and I'm trying to recreate them in a certain style. Those are not done by another artist. That's where I try to stay away from even things like the Incredible Hulk, who is digitally rendered. I mean, that is animation, and to me, I've done it in the past. I even have a video here online, because to be honest, what other reference can you use for the Hulk if you want to try to make him look real? I don't know if this is clearing up anything for anybody, but I mean, that in itself is where a lot of problems lie. When you take the artwork of another artist and you draw it as is and try to pass that off as your own, yes, it is your own, but you are drawing something that has already been drawn by somebody else, even if you're just doing it as a reference. Meaning, you've got a piece of paper here, you got a book here, and you're drawing what you see. That's fine, but you need to at least respect the artist that you're originally sort of doing an homage to. I mean, if you wanted to take this image of Superman and sort of do your own rendition, you maybe find a few different references online of different poses of people like that, and you want to recreate an homage that's to Dan Jurgens, but mostly your own, you can do that. The big thing is, like I said, folks are really ready to hate, and they're really ready to hate and think that people that trace or use references are doing something wrong, and they're not. And you really got to sort of step back and not take it personal. None of that stuff really matters. In the end, it's the journey. It doesn't matter how you got there. Like if you're a young artist starting out, or even an old artist, and you're wanting to practice something, by all means. Like I said, I've done it. Jim Lee, I've tried to draw in Jim's style. The Kuberts, Eric Larson, I love his stuff. And all of that has really helped. But the thing is, though, I've never tried to pass it off as my own. I will say, this is my art. Even when I draw Superman, for instance, I don't own Superman, but I'm not using any other images by any other artists. I'm just using my own. Might have a few references off to the side of a person in a pose that fits it. But again, like I said, you really, ignorant people do not understand everything that goes into making art. So if you're finding that you're getting hate and you're getting people that are accusing you of doing stuff that they think you shouldn't, just ignore them. And just keep practicing your craft and making sure that you honor those that you've taken reference from. Anyways, I hope you guys like this video. I hope this adds something and doesn't confuse. Anyways, Dredfunn out.
This has been a Dredfunn.com production. Thanks for watching.